Part 76. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 756. Tao Ran made suggestions one by one, and everyone tried to keep up with her train of thought. For a while, they could only nod along. Everyone thinks that this captain is very good. Everyone seemed to have found a backbone, and their anxiety turned into conviction. The eyes of the young girl in her early 20s were full of light. She was neither arrogant nor impetuous, mature and steady, and had such a strong aura that none of the superpowers present could express their dissatisfaction. I will hold another meeting before 8 o'clock tonight. Everyone can think about it now. If you have opinions and suggestions, we will discuss them then. Let's vote on big ideas. Let's advance and retreat together and work hard to tide over the difficulties. Tao Ran had already inquired and found that the rate of awakening supernatural powers was about 1 in 10, and it was mainly among young people. 70-year-old Grandpa Fang's awakening of clairvoyance was purely accidental. In addition to Grandpa Fang, a total of 8 people in the community now have supernatural powers. I heard that physical strength types are the most numerous types of superpowers and are also one of the most useful superpowers. There are 2 in their community. One is Uncle Li, and the other is Qin Guang. What Yan Hui awakened was speed. After acquiring the superpower, his 100-meter run increased to 8 seconds. But after comparing Xuefei's abilities with theirs, Tao Ran firmly believed that their abilities could still be improved. So in the evening, Tao Ran gave them a schedule, asking them to train at high intensity every day, and he would check whether their physical fitness had improved every day. You 3 have the most powerful abilities in the community for the time being. You have the important responsibility of protecting everyone, so you must be strong. I will set a small goal for you first, which is to surpass me. The 3 of them were silent. Yes, they were superpowers. If they couldn't defeat Shenrong, it would only prove that they were weak. The 3 of them shouted yes. So, Tao Ran made a bet with them. In 3 days, the 4 of them would have a good fight. If the 3 of them couldn't beat her, they would be willing to admit defeat. Then it would be up to her to decide how to train. There is also Uncle Zhang, whose superpower is indestructible. It's not that he is truly invulnerable, but that his body's ability to withstand blows has been strengthened many times, making him neither tired nor in pain and very difficult to be injured. Tao Ran didn't know if he continued to strengthen, zombie viruses and guns would be ineffective against him. Tao Ran was greedy for these superpowers. It's all gold fingers. Not to mention that Shenrong had low self-esteem, even she felt itchy. As for the rest of the superpowers, their abilities are useless, mainly because they have no effect on increasing their combat effectiveness. For example, there is a 12-year-old sister named Tian Tian who has awakened the power of prediction, but unfortunately, most of what she can predict is the weather and luck. A perfect candidate for a great job. Tao Ran noticed her because she pulled Tao Ran and said that Sister Shen today is different from before. The whole person seemed to have light. What light? Golden light. Is that good or bad? Of course it's good. The auspicious light surrounds you. Tao Ran smiled, but the BGM was still playing, and then asked her to predict the weather. It's going to rain heavily at 9:15 tonight. As a result, Sister Tian Tian lived up to expectations. When the time came, within a minute, it began to rain heavily. Because they knew it in advance, they put large pots and buckets on the roof of every building, and they connected water pipes to every drainage point on the road. 1 hour of water storage guarantees all of them water for the next 10 days and a half, including domestic water for flushing toilets. There are also 3 superpowers. One is telepathic, but he may have just awakened not long ago, and now he can only feel joy, anger, sorrow, and joy, and no more. One is learning ability and photographic memory. The last one is fluoroscopy, or internal vision. You can see the body organs, the flow of internal energy, etc. Of course, Chaoran was not going to let any of these people go. Tian Tian was asked by Chaoran to write a weather forecast and post it on the bulletin board every day, and to look at the team's fortune every day, and select the person with the best and worst luck every day. Gao Fei, the telepathic eldest sister, received the manual sent by Chaoran, which was said to be for practicing spiritual power, and asked her to practice it every day when she had free time. Xiaoming, the younger brother who can study, was appointed by Chaoran to be the team's general secretary and warehouse manager, recording various data, retrieving various materials, and acting as the team's computer. The young lady who knew endoscopic vision was given to Fang Fang by Chaoran, who asked Fang Fang to teach her basic human body studies and nursing. Chaoran became busy. She didn't even have time to care about Xuefei and Baimoli. Xuefei's physique had been strengthened after all, and he woke up a little in the middle of the night, but Chaoran was too busy to deal with her, so he asked Fang Fang to give him an injection of anesthesia to enhance the effect. Xuefei fell asleep again. In the evening, someone came to report that when they passed by Baimoli's locked room, they found no one in it. Chaoran told her not to worry about it, and sure enough, an hour later, someone came to report that Baimoli had appeared out of thin air again, crying and begging. Chaoran still told her to let her go. When there was another meeting that night, Chaoran had already arranged the tasks for everyone to start tomorrow. She really didn't even spare the elderly and children. For example, the daytime observation team is led by Grandpa Fang, who has excellent eyesight, and a group of energetic children aged 10 to 15. Their mission is mainly to observe the movements within 3 kilometers around them. All young adults, both male and female, were specially included. More than 90 people will be divided into 2 groups. One group strengthens their physical fitness, learns martial arts, practices weapons, and learns the use of guns and sticks. One group performs security tasks. Set traps internally, prepare backup plans, clean up zombies externally, patrol around, look for supplies. Every 3 days, the 2 groups will switch tasks. She, Shenrong, will be the captain of the 2 groups. Carry out the work of teaching, supervising and sparring. There were more than 50 grandparents and grandparents left. Except for some who were in particularly bad health, Chaoran assigned tasks to all of them. Most of the grandparents were in good health, so they were assigned directly to the logistics team. Elderly people like to have fun, so Chaoran lets them do group activities. Most of the grandfathers are rich in life knowledge and skills, and they belong to the group of people who eat more salt than rice, so Chaoran gave them tasks such as making tools, finding accessories, and adjusting equipment. Chaoran also plans to teach them how to make bows and arrows, a simple version. As for the grandmothers, Chaoran gave them the tasks of cooking 3 meals a day, taking care of the children, doing housework, and watching the children study. Cooking for the family and getting together with the old sisters are what grandma likes to do the most. Now they can join their grandfathers and no longer have to do nothing. They can play a valuable role in the team, and everyone feels much younger. In this way, the temporary observation team, medical team, action team, logistics team, and even equipment team and material team have been established. Everyone performs their duties, at least the enthusiasm has been mobilized. Next, Chaoran had to train everyone in the young and middle-aged group. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 757. After making arrangements for everyone, Chaoran drew a circle on the schematic diagram of her community. This was where she wanted to set up the back road. The east side of the community is the construction site, while the west side is the original kindergarten. Sometime before the large-scale virus outbreak, all the children in the kindergarten were on vacation, so there were very few zombies in the kindergarten. This kindergarten is shared by several surrounding communities. But it's only close to Shenrong's community. Other communities have to cross the road to get there. Therefore, after the kindergarten was plundered several times for supplies at the beginning, it was basically left empty and preserved. The vegetables grown in Shenrong's vegetable shed in his community, such as greens, pumpkins, lukva, etc., were actually transplanted from the small vegetable garden in the kindergarten that was originally used for children to identify and grow fruits and vegetables. Later, they found various rape seeds in the lockers of the kindergarten vegetable garden, and they officially started planting them in the green space of the community. There are only 2 walls and an alley between the kindergarten and the community. One day, when there is a crisis, this may be a way out. Taoran decided that starting tomorrow, he would first deal with the alley near the kindergarten and make it into a dark corridor. Then she personally took people to the kindergarten to deal with the zombies, and first opened up a back garden for the residents of the community. Thinking of the dark corridor and seeing the lively people, Taoran thought of something else. Grandpa Fang's farsightedness power is likely to be shared by other people in the outside world. If there are people in the dark observing from a high position like them, then their community will be targeted sooner or later. With so many living people gathering together to live comfortably, no one would mistake them for zombies, right? They will still become targets then. They are so unprotected. First, you have to block other people's sight. So, Taoran assigned another task to the logistics team. Starting tomorrow, trees as tall and dense as the main roads in the community will be planted on the roads where people often move around, and shady and dense boulevards will be artificially created in the community. This will not only cool you down during the day, but also prevent peeping from high above. It allows everyone to move around safely without worrying about being discovered by anyone. There are a lot of big trees on the road outside the community. Tomorrow I will take Brother Yan Hui and the others to do some work outside. Taoran, let's make a shed for everyone's activity area. The shed roof is easy to get, and the buildings are all empty. You can just go to an unoccupied house and take down some door panels to build it. The supplies team are all old people with rich life experience, and handling these things is a piece of cake. Taoran thought that it would be best for Grandpa Fang to build a simple room on the roof of the building to observe the surroundings, so that no one would notice how comfortable they were here. Taoran also took a look at the supplies. Since every household has stocked up before the end of the world, every household has enough food for at least half a year. The small supermarket plus its warehouse and various inventory can sustain everyone's life for half a year. With the supplies that everyone has been looking for these days, it seems that life for the next 15 months will be no problem. Taoran also asked all the aunts and grandmothers to search the empty houses one by one and collect the daily necessities for food and drink if nothing happened. Since those people cannot come back, the food, rice, oil, salt, milk, paper, and even nutritional supplements, health products, snacks, and drinks left in their homes cannot be wasted. Several grandfathers in their 60s even came forward to volunteer. They are strong and healthy. Can you hand over the vegetable garden to them in the future? They are farmers and are good at farming. They plan to grow some potatoes. Of course, so Taoran asked him to write down on the paper that he would build a planting shed tomorrow. I only have so much to ask for leave today. Changzhou, where the author is based, is on lockdown. All work and activities were stopped for the next 3 days. Even the community is not allowed in or out. I get up in the morning to do nucleic acid tests, and then the community helps me. I don't have time to write anything today. Sorry, love you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 758. Taoran doesn't know when the virus will be resolved, nor how long this troubled world will last. Therefore, since he wants to live here, he must find a way to develop sustainably. Food is naturally of the utmost importance. Many things have a growth period, and it is not enough to just improvise. In case of escape, food is even more indispensable. After planting, then start breeding? Looking at the landscape lake, maybe she should catch some fish and shrimp to raise them? You don't need to use the tube very much, but can you still supplement nutrition for everyone? How about asking everyone to stop eating eggs for a few days? Hatching eggs? Are you trying to expand the scale of chicken breeding? Idyllic life under the apocalypse? Pretty good too. There were too many ideas in Chaoran's mind at once. She continued to refine the division of labor among everyone. Xiaoming, a genius child with special abilities who helped her record the records, also slowly filled up the record sheet. Behind each task, everyone's names were listed under their active registration. No, after she suggested using Xuefei's car to reinforce their own car, several uncles immediately volunteered. They quickly came up with a plan, such as the iron frame for the outdoor unit of the air conditioner and some special anti-theft windows, which are all suitable materials. It was already 11:30 p.m. after the meeting. Everyone was asked to go back and have a good rest. Chaoran ate a few mouthfuls of food, washed and changed medicine, and then began to meditate. She quickly put Yutong's internal skills into action. To be honest, Chaoran was quite satisfied with Shenrong's body. Shenrong's inferiority complex is completely unnecessary. Although this body is not slim enough, it is healthy. The internal qi moves smoothly without any obstruction. The body's various functions are very good. Because he has been exercising since he was a child, his physique is comparable to that of Yutong, who was played by Chaoran before. Such a good body is what Chaoran dreams of. This discovery also made Chaoran very excited. This means that she should be able to make Shenrong's body instantly effective in martial arts in a short period of time. The same goes for internal strength. The feedback from the body is very obvious. Given time, the internal strength will be achieved quickly. 3 hours later, she got up and performed a set of punches that were not too wide. The effect was better than she imagined. Speed, strength, flexibility, sensitivity, all top-notch. Jumping, flipping, and hitting are all pretty good. The whole set of boxing techniques is basically ready to use. Chaoran picked up another stick, and sure enough, his stick skills were also at his fingertips. Since the wound had not yet healed, Chaoran could only practice briefly and stopped after only half an hour. I picked up a few more stones and threw them out. It was pretty good. Although I had no internal strength, my arm strength was so strong that I was good at using hidden weapons. During this period, Chaoran suddenly thought of Xuefei's 2 brothers. Will one of them die tonight? She took a look. Sure enough, one had just died, and the other had only 1 breath left. Chaoran didn't want to scare the elderly and children, so while most of the people were still asleep, he covered them with sacks and threw them into the trunk of Xuefei's car. She went back to practice her internal skills for a while, and the sky became a little dark. Chaoran went to see Xuefei. The guy hasn't woken up yet. Chaoran pinched him and slapped his face with a stick. Still awake, she struck the stick on his broken leg. Xuefei snorted twice and finally woke up slowly. After a minute, he could open his eyelids. His angry eyes were complicated, and after 3 seconds, he finally lowered his eyes. Winner or loser, tell me, what do you want? Xuefei looked in pain and felt like he couldn't breathe. That's good, Chaoran dragged a chair and sat down in front of him. In fact, Chaoran didn't expect that he would be able to control Xuefei and Baimoli, the culprits who harmed Shenrong and all the residents so smoothly. Of course she could just kill these 2 people to vent her hatred. But how is this enough? They didn't deserve a good death. She hasn't decided how to deal with them in the end, but she must not take advantage of them. But what do you have? I have superpowers. I can join you. I can help you fight zombies. Or you can do whatever you ask me to do. It's strange that Taoran believed him. Well, let's show your sincerity. You can answer whatever I ask you. Or if you satisfy me, I will let you go. Good. Where did your guns and those boxes of weapons come from? Robbed. Who was robbed? Chengdong, someone from the hospital. Where did they get their weapons? It was also stolen. Be specific. Soon, Taoran learned that the group in the east of the city first robbed 2 security companies after the virus outbreak and harvested a lot of non-lethal weapons. They colluded with people from an armed escort company, robbed him again, swallowed all the weapons of the escort company, and occupied the hospital. They have absorbed a large number of young people, and some people from the road have joined them. Not only have they become the most powerful force in the city, but they also have more and more weapons in their hands. The Chengdong Bureau and ZI were also captured by them. So they obtained a lot of weapons. Our box of goods was intercepted halfway after they took down the escort company in the next city, and we were ambushed in the eastern suburbs of the city. We robbed and ran away. Although we grabbed the goods, the casualties were not small. 3 of our brothers died, and several others were shot. We escaped separately from other brothers. We did not dare to stay in the east of the city. Just went all the way west, and then met you. Taoran nodded, which was pretty much what she had guessed. After confirming this, the direction of her next plan can be determined. Where are the rest of you? Where now? I have no idea. Then how many goods did you grab this time? 1 big box plus 1 small box. The small box is with our other brothers, and the big box is in your hands. I'm giving these goods to you. You can let me go. Taoran stood up and shook his head. You have paid so much for these weapons, why are you willing to give them up? I can't let the tiger go back to the mountain and invite your revenge. So I have wronged you, and I will live here from now on. Xuefei's meat trembled and twitched. You don't keep your word. Taoran smiled. You should know what kind of person I am from the moment I knocked you out. Don't you? I saved you, you have to have a conscience. I have a conscience. Look, you said you wanted to join us, so I will keep you. From now on, you can stay here peacefully without fear of being around zombies. I will also provide you with food and drink. This guy has the superpower was so powerful, Taoran felt that she couldn't waste it. She has already thought about what kind of work to arrange for Xuefei, and she will make sure to enrich him every day in the future. Taoran took out a water bottle, unscrewed the cap and gave him a drink of water. From now on, you can drink 3 times of water a day and eat 1 mouthful of rice with each meal, that's all. Of course, if you contribute more to the community, I will naturally double the reward for you. Taoran patted his head, like training his own puppy. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 759. Xuefei's self-esteem was rubbed against the ground, and he suddenly raised his head and opened his mouth to bite. How could Taoran let him succeed? He slapped him with his backhand and hit Xuefei's cheek flesh with the stick in his other hand. Xuefei took a sip and spat out 2 big white teeth mixed with blood. But he obviously spit it out at the woman in front of him, but when the saliva fell to the ground, the woman was already behind him and hit him on the back of the head with another bang. You also have superpowers, Xuefei subconsciously made this judgment. Sister firmly believes that hard work can make up for weakness, and man can conquer nature, so she doesn't care about superpowers. Taoran pressed the stick against Xuefei's throat. From now on, every time you disobey, 2 of your teeth will be knocked out. After all your teeth are knocked out, I will start to cut your flesh and feed it to the zombies. Let me remind you first, my medicine will not be wasted on you. So if you still want to live, don't provoke me. Just take care of yourself. Taoran just took 2 steps away and turned back. This afternoon, I will issue you the first task. You must perform well and try to eat more. Taoran left. Xuefei's leg was broken, and the sleeping pills were not effective. He was tied up with a big iron chain and locked by a big iron door, making it difficult for him to fly. Taoran was not worried at all that he would make a fool of himself. Then, Taoran went to the small garage where Bai Moli was kept. Now Bai Jasmine is not staying in the space, but is sitting in the corner crying. When she heard someone approaching, she quickly started banging on the door. "Hello, I want to find brother Taoran. Please help me convey that I have something to say." Then, I saw a hand passing through the iron fence above the garage door and holding out a diamond bracelet. "Help me, this bracelet is yours. I will repay you well in the future." Taoran put away the bracelet, took the key and opened the door. Bai Moli thanked her happily and opened the door. When she saw Taoran, she was dumbfounded and her eyes almost fell off. "Is it you?" Bai Moli finally understood the reason why she was plotted against. "Is that Taoran yours?" Taoran crossed his arms. "No, Taoran is not mine, Taoran is me." 3 seconds later, Bai Moli scratched her head and screamed. Only then did she understand why Taoran had been hiding his true face. It turned out to be to deceive her. So angry. This woman robbed a very capable elder brother, almost killed her, and also took away a large box and a packet of medicine from her. Now she is being detained. What kind of devil is this? How come there are such bad people? Bai Moli swung her fist and hit him. Taoran stepped back repeatedly, then dodged. Bai Moli's fist hit the wall. "It hurts." She started to cry, and then she remembered the scene when the sister went to the drugstore for the first time and killed more than a dozen zombies by herself. "I can't beat her at all." So the next second, Bai Moli knelt down. Sister, why do you do this to me?" She knelt up and took Taoran's hand. "Sister, please let me go. We don't have any big grudges, so don't embarrass me. I did say a few bad things about you, but I didn't mean it. I'm too lazy to even kill a chicken. You just forgive me." Okay, Taoran interrupted her. "Needless to say, nonsense. Didn't you tell me before that you were the little princess in your team? Now, it's time for you to use your actual actions to prove your status and value." Taoran didn't wait for Bai Moli to react and had already taken out the dagger. Bai Moli was startled and screamed. Just as she was about to hide in the space, her hand was grabbed tightly by Taoran's backhand. "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." Taoran looked at Bai Moli's clothes. Xiaoxiangfeng's black short woolen coat is paired with a light pink ruffled silk shirt. Even in the end of the world, it is still exquisite. The dagger flew around her fingertips. Taoran stretched out her hand and cut off a large piece of Bai Moli's shirt. The frightened Bai Moli was still screaming, and her finger was hurting again. Looking again, the dagger in Taoran's hand had already made a cut on her hand. Drops of blood were falling. Miss Kinjin screamed again, and then she knelt down crying and howling again, begging Taoran not to kill her. "Shut up." Taoran threw the piece of shirt in her face. "Now, I want to blackmail you," Taoran said frankly. "You know what to do, right? Write a letter in blood and ask your brothers for help. As long as the ransom they give is enough, then I can let you go. After all, we have no grievances, right?" Bai Moli was stunned for 3 seconds and nodded quickly. "Don't worry, my brothers will definitely redeem me." "Then it's up to you." Taoran squatted down next to Bai Moli. "If your brothers are really affectionate and loyal to you, I won't make it difficult for you. So, write well, put more thought and emotion into it, go in. Your brother keeps you in mind, so I won't embarrass you, right?" Okay, I will write it well." Bai Moli's nervousness was mostly gone. No wonder he lied about sending her home before. Wasn't it because he wanted to benefit from his status as a eldest lady? That's good. If you have value, there will be no danger. What supplies does sister want? What supplies do you have? Although we don't have any medicines, we do have enough food, water, cars, fuel, and so on. Taoran nodded. Write it? It took Baimoli 10 minutes to finally finish writing the letter. For the sake of effectiveness, Taoran also helped her with another cut, covering her hand with blood, and finally patted her palm print on it. When Taoran got the blood book, he took one look at it and almost laughed out loud. Neptune has many love brothers, and she wrote a sentence for each of them, which was a blessing. The eldest lady was afraid of suffering, so she used a whimpering style of writing, with fierce words and exaggerated descriptions, all kinds of nervous exaggeration and urging, begging her brothers to rescue her as soon as possible. Very good. Taoran put away the blood letter. Xiaobai, I have another question. Do you have any powers? Baimoli became nervous again, and then quickly shook her head. Then why, when my people came to check before, they didn't find you? Did you see it wrong? Maybe they didn't see me leaning against the wall. You're lying. Taoran, who was holding Baimoli with one hand, suddenly raised the dagger high with the other hand and stabbed her hard. Baimoli let out a harsh scream again. The tip of the knife came straight towards her. Seeing that it was only 10 centimeters away from her eyeball, she subconsciously used her powers. After successfully entering the space, she breathed a sigh of relief. Just as she was about to reach out and wipe the sweat from her forehead, she suddenly screamed again and then sat on the ground. Her hand was held tightly by the other hand. Only then did she remember that her hand had been being pulled by Taoran since a few minutes ago. And now, she had a pair of dark eyes and an upward hook on her lips. That ugly, black, fat man was dragged into the space by her. At this moment, Baimoli wanted to die. Thank you, Brother Long, for the reward. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 760. Taoranka has been coveting by Jasmine's space for a long time. She has traveled through so many worlds, but she still doesn't know what space looks like. If you don't have it yourself, you have to find a way to take a look at it and play with it. Taoran guessed that since the owner of the space could take objects in, the same could be said for natural people. So she detained Baimoli early in the morning. Space is Baimoli's trump card, and of course Taoran knows that she won't expose it easily. But she can only find a way to show herself. As for the easiest way to expose her, it is naturally to make her afraid. It was quite successful. The moment she switched spaces, Taoran was not spinning, but she felt a stabbing pain in her head. She deeply felt the repulsion of the space. But Baimoli's intention to enter the space was too strong, and Taoran was so strong physically and mentally that the space barrier weakened for a moment. After a moment of confusion, Taoran finally came in. Only then did she push Baimoli's hand away. Baimoli fell to the ground, whether because of fright or because of the dazzling dagger in Taoran's hand. I'm sorry. She leaned back and bit her lip until it bled. You lied to me. Taoran took a step forward. I'm sorry, please spare me. The dagger was getting closer and closer, and Baimoli had no good solution. She hugged Taoran's legs again. I was wrong. Good sister. This is indeed my power. But I only awakened it today and can only use it in times of crisis. Sister, I didn't mean to lie to you. I was too scared, so I was confused for a moment. Since I call you sister, then my space is yours. Sister, you can come anytime from now on. If you have any good supplies or anything you want to hide, put them here with me. I will definitely keep the secret from my sister. Taoran didn't bother to talk nonsense with her, so he just kicked her foot, and Baimoli was knocked to the ground. To be honest, Taoran disliked this space. She was cheated. I was deceived by those novels. Just like there are no so-called crystal nuclei in the heads of the apocalyptic zombies here, there is no spiritual energy from spiritual springs or spiritual trees in this space. Let's just say, survival of the fittest is the law of heaven and earth. If you want to survive, you mainly have to rely on your own efforts. Even if God gives me a favor, my cultivation depends on myself. How could I give a golden finger after giving me a chance? Wouldn't that mean you win by lying down? The white jasmine space in front of me is just a small, square space with a length, width, and height of 2 meters each. It should also be possible to slowly expand this space through your own efforts. The awkward timing of Bimoli's awakening resulted in her not being able to bring anything into the space, so the space was empty with nothing. Let's put it this way, it's exactly the same as the garage where Bimoli is locked up. Too tasteless. Taoran felt that he looked down on him. So she reached her hand to her lower back, and then pulled out the baseball bat attached to her waist. When she first came in, she felt that the barrier was weak and repulsive. In this case, rubbish, go against her, right? So how could she give it a chance to survive, expand, and grow? It's hard for her not to have a destructive streak. How about giving it a try? Just like that, the baseball bat was raised, and she aimed at an edge of the space and hit it hard. A slight tremor, not obvious. Bimoli suddenly held her head, screamed in pain, and then rolled on the ground. Taoran hit her again. This time, Bimoli's face turned pale, with tears and sweat beads rolling down her face. Ha! It really works. Taoran looked above his head. This time, the stick in her hand stabbed directly into the sky. She wanted to turn things upside down. But this time, even Bimoli saw layers of water ripples appearing in the sky, and it became blurry. With a splitting headache, she crawled over and hugged Taoran again. Sister, I was wrong. Let me go. I will follow you from now on. I swear, I will give you all my space from now on, don't destroy it. Taoran he, but he calmed down a little. She suddenly remembered a question. What is your Captain Song Tao's superpower? Halfway through her last conversation, Bimoli suddenly changed the subject. Obviously, that Song Tao's power is very special. Taoran had to find out. Bimoli shrank and her eyes flashed, he has powers. Taoran frowned and put the baseball bat against Bimoli's throat. She is an actor, and her opponent's acting skills are really bad. How can she not tell? If you want to die, just say so. With the pain in her throat, Bimoli knelt down again. I'll tell you the truth, he's a double. Really, I swear. This is true. Continue. Another superpower is speed. Really? Taoran picked up the baseball bat and was about to smash it down. This deceit made Bimoli cry again. I say, I tell the truth. Brother Song Tao was originally a superpower. Later, he volunteered to be the captain. Brother Lei refused to accept it and tried to seize power several times, but he was the first to see through it. Later we found out that he secretly awakened a superpower. What kind of power? Taoran took out a dagger and asked. Bimoli bit her lip before saying, it's induction. Induction. Taoran remembered that there was also a telepathic person in his neighborhood, but what was so scary about this? Why be so mysterious? It's an unusual feeling, right? Tell me carefully. Bimoli shrank and carefully avoided the dagger blade on her neck. Brother Song Tao can see through people's psychological activities. As long as he wants to see our every move, there is nothing he doesn't know. Nothing can escape his eyes. Mystery solved. Sure enough, it is not an ordinary power, but an outstanding one. Taoran immediately understood why Song Tao's team decided to occupy the community within a few minutes after they were lured to the community in the plot. He must have sensed Shuefei's group and knew that this community is extremely rich in resources and is a good place to stay. Because of this, it only took him a few minutes to reach a cooperation agreement with Shuefei and the others. He knew that Shuefei and the others also had weapons, knew that they were not good people, and even more knew what Shuefei and the others wanted. Only then could they form an alliance quickly. Tao Ran couldn't help but look up at the sky. God was so unfair. But where is the sky in this space? She looked lonely. She was even more unhappy. So, her baseball bat started swinging again. In fact, Tao Ran had a plan early on. If Baimoli's space is truly unique and a treasure, then naturally she can't waste it and must find a way to keep the space and use it for the team. But since this space is repulsive, she will naturally not be polite. If God didn't have eyes when she was about to die, then she would do justice to God. In the plot, Baimoli took advantage of the situation and wreaked havoc. This time, everything she had to be confiscated, so that she could also experience Shenrong's despair, helplessness, and pain. It can also calm down Shenrong's inferiority complex towards people with powers. Any formation has an eye. As long as the eye of this space is found and destroyed, the space will be destroyed. At worst, she will dig 3 feet into the ground. Tao Ran had already thought that if she couldn't destroy this space, then she would seal it so that Baimoli would never be able to open this space again. Under her tossing, this lowest level space, which had just been cultivated recently, lost its support after a burst of white light strobes and various distortions. Suddenly, with a pop sound, it collapsed and disappeared. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 761. The space collapsed and the two returned to the small garage. Baimoli's whole head felt like needles pricking her head, and she felt like her head was about to explode. She rolled on the ground, cursing. She could no longer sense space. She thought about it countless times, but she was still in the cold place. She could never return to that secret space that belonged only to her. She burst into tears. After getting the space, she had too many sweet dreams. She knew it would be a super useful power for both herself and the team. She can use this space to survive until the end. She even thought about relying on her powerful space to accumulate enough supplies to keep her favorite little brother by her side and live like a queen. But her sweet dream only existed for less than 24 hours. She didn't even know which one hurt more, her head or her heart. Dauren. You bitch. Trash. Bastard. Beast. Something worse than a pig or a dog. Tao Ran's baseball bat hit Baimoli's mouth where she was cursing. A layer of blood suddenly appeared in her mouth. It's too noisy, please be quiet. If you keep making noise like this, I will ruin your beauty with a heavy hand, and your brothers may not be willing to spend money to redeem you, an ugly monster like you. Baimoli suddenly shuddered. Ugly. She can't become ugly. Her voice gradually became lower, and she bit her sleeve and cried, not daring to make another sound no matter how painful it was. The sun has come out and the grandmothers have already cooked porridge. Tao Ran drank a bowl and asked Fang Fang to change the medicine. Finally, her wound had healed and no blood continued to ooze. Be careful these 2 days. Don't move too much. After these 2 days, there should be no problem, Fang Fang said. Good. Tao Ran did not continue to practice martial arts for the time being, but started practicing Qing Kung Fu. This world is a bit dangerous. Whether you are hiding from people or zombies, running fast is extremely important. Qinggong is so useful. Shenrong's physical fitness is quite good. He doesn't need to practice basics. He only needs to focus on footwork and internal strength. After an hour, It already felt a bit like that. Everyone got up one after another. After Chaoran issued a physical task to the young and middle-aged group, he drove out of the gate with Yan Hui, who had the power of speed. We went to a place in the center of the city. After driving for almost half an hour, they found the place where Xuefei said they had a fierce battle with the group from Chengdong Hospital. In this area, there were obvious signs of fighting, and dead bodies were lying on the ground. The two got out of the car and divided the work. Yan Hui took a cloth bag and followed Chaoran's request, looking for some kind of bullets and shell casings all over the ground. Chaoran helped him stand guard and clean up the zombies that rushed towards him. Yan Hui's speed was very fast, and after 5 minutes, the two of them got a bag of things. Enough. The two got in the car and left. On the way back, the two took a remote road, searched several cars along the way, and got a few bags of food. Seeing it, there seemed to be fewer people on the road than yesterday. Most of the people who were lucky enough to survive were hiding at home, and those who dared to go out on the streets were mostly people with supernatural powers. What was outrageous was that while passing by a street, Chaoran saw someone throwing paper on the rooftop of the first floor. She picked it up and took a look, hee hee ha ha. She really is looking for Bimoli. It says that if anyone with knowledge can provide clues, they will repay with materials. If the kidnappers see this paper, they can say anything as long as they don't hurt Jasmine. The brothers are really infatuated. Obviously, they will never leave the bank until they find Bimoli. Good. Not urgent. As for your appetite, you still need to whet your appetite. As soon as they arrived near the community, they met several uncles who were getting ready to go out. Today they were responsible for finding supplies. I'll do the job of attracting zombies later. According to the tasks assigned by Chaoran yesterday, today not only had to close the north and south gates, but they also had to attract hundreds of zombies to wander outside the two gates. From now on, their people will take the road to the east near the construction site. There was no supplies there, few people would pass by, and it was very safe. Chaoran has a simple, quick, and safe way to attract zombies. She drove the car directly into the underground garage. She came to Xuefei. You've been resting for almost a day. Have you regained your strength? Xuefei stared at her. Indeed, he has recovered 80% of his strength. But what's the use? Both of his legs are broken. Even if you let him go, he can't run away even if he wants to. Chaoran called Qin Guang and asked him to tie Xuefei to the back of the car. Xuefei's body, from chest to waist, was all tied up with iron chains. Get in the car and let me show you how capable the superpowers outside are. Chaoran opened the car door and greeted Xuefei with a smile. Next, I'll take you shopping. Take care of yourself. Don't die so early. Xuefei never thought that this crazy woman would expose his arms just to torture him. The next half hour was the most painful period of his life. After the car left the community, it headed towards a main street. Xuefei's eyes widened. That road, at first glance, is full of zombies. But the woman drove there and then stopped the car in the middle of the road. Xuefei didn't dare to say anything, and even held his breath. How he wished those zombies would ignore him as a dead person. But there were several wounds on his body, and the smell of blood soon made the zombies excited. They came to him one after another. Ha! Then this broken car was traveling at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour. Neither fast nor slow, just barely at the same speed as the zombies. The results can be imagined. He could only hold out his fist. He could only beat away the zombies that jumped in front of him, and break the necks of the zombies that came up to bite him. He doesn't want to die. So he can only try his best. In this way, he became the bait on the fishhook. When he returned to the community, his fists were bloody and bloody. He was like a dog that was fed and got a piece of steamed bun. He silently picked up the steamed bun slices and stuffed them into his mouth. Have a good rest. I'll give you another task this afternoon. Chaoran handed over a bottle with only a sip of water left. He stretched out his hand to take it, and suddenly turned his palm to grab someone, trying to catch Shenrong as a hostage. But he thought too simply, and this woman easily escaped. The water bottle was taken back, and there was a gun on his forehead. Xuefei didn't dare to act rashly anymore, and he was tied back to the pillar in the basement again. And Qin Guang and others finally knew the gap between themselves and Xuefei. They were watching this whole way. Xuefei relied on his brute strength to kill more than 70 zombies with his bare hands in just half an hour, but he was not bitten by any zombies. If it were them, it would be far inferior. Same power, different effects, they are indeed too weak. Chaoran, so I suggest that Xuefei be your sparring partner in the future. Actual combat is the best means of progress. Xuefei will do his best to avoid being beaten and to eat and drink. Just like this, a few hours later, Xuefei, who was tied to the pillar, was singled out 1 from 3. He never imagined that from that day on, he would become a tool man without dignity. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 762. Supplies are becoming increasingly scarce, and the entire world has lost order. Everyone gradually realized that Chaoran's warning was not alarmist. The team that went out to search for supplies saw several people fighting over rice and noodles, stabbing each other with no regard for human life. Some people pushed their friends into a group of zombies in order to escape for their lives. Another time they encountered a convoy, and they were chasing them like crazy. Steal supplies. If their car hadn't been modified and hit the accelerator and knocked away the blockade, something might have happened. From that day on, they knew that they really couldn't slack off. Not just for themselves, but for all their family, friends, and home. They knew very well that if word got out that they had stockpiled enough rice and noodles to feed nearly 200 people for 2 years, how much fatality would it cause? I'm afraid most of the survivors in the city will have to come to our door, right? If they can't nip it in the bud, they won't be able to fight against others given their current situation of being old and weak. Therefore, all the suggestions made by Chaoran before were basically carried out smoothly. As the backbone, we must not pull anyone apart. This is what Chaoran emphasized in their ears every day. As a result, when I practiced physical fitness again, there were obviously fewer people complaining. Even the young ladies who only danced in girl group dances and the ants who only danced in the square began to practice physical fitness and play with Chaoran along with Chaoran. After Qin Guang and the others saw the gap between themselves and other superpowers, they worked hard to improve their results every day. Xuefei gets half a bottle of water and half a bowl of food after living as a tool every day. This little thing is not enough to fill the gap between his teeth, and it will not starve him to death. It can only barely maintain his body functions and allow him to continue to act as a tool. He was in agony, but he couldn't bear to kill himself. Xuefei asked Chaoran, "When can you let me go?" "Probably, wait until the day you become worthless." As for Bai Jasmine, she cries every day. It started with a headache. Then it was sad. Then came hunger. When Chaoran went to see her again, her entire face was pale, and she was extremely weak due to the backlash of her powers being destroyed. "When are you going to find my brothers?" "Wait until you tell me all the news about your team's superpowers and supplies. You must know that kidnapping is very dangerous. If I die, you won't survive. So you'd better pray that I can sell it safely." "About you." So Bai Moli chose to tell everything. Another day passed. The atmosphere at Fuller's Bank was dull. People from the 5 major families have been searching for him for 3 full days, and almost all the surrounding kilometers have been searched, but they still have no clue and no news. Only a few scammers used the paper they sent out to cheat, and they finally had their heads smashed. They even took the risk to explore Dongcheng once. During the search in Dongcheng, they were discovered by a group of people from the hospital. The other party thought they were up to no good and almost had a conflict. Later, Bai Ying, the eldest brother of the Bai family, personally took people there again. He originally wanted to talk to the people at the hospital, but the other side opened fire on them indiscriminately. They fled and seriously injured two brothers. But this experience also made them basically conclude that this matter should have nothing to do with the hospital. Otherwise, the other party will definitely put forward conditions. They really couldn't find Jasmine, nor the man who kidnapped her. They couldn't even sense that someone was staring at them in the dark. Somewhat desperate, Song Tao said that if they can't find anyone within 2 days and don't receive any news, they won't wait. They need to change places quickly. It was too uncomfortable to live here in the bank. They were used to living in villas and couldn't bear it anymore. At this moment, Bai Ying is making arrangements to see who will go out to search today. However, there was a sudden loud noise that startled them. Everyone rushed out. Then a car was seen crashing directly into a tree at the intersection next to the bank. They quickly drew their guns and rushed over, surrounding the car. But it turned out to be a false alarm. There was no one in the smoking car. They looked at each other. Obviously, someone had brought the car. While they notified the brothers who were in charge of waiting and watching to report the reason, they also ordered to quickly search for the person nearby. It seemed that the person was. The two Bai brothers saw something tied to the seat belt of the passenger seat at a glance. That diamond bracelet on the seat belt, how could they admit their mistake? That's exactly what Jasmine has. The two quickly opened the door. The hands of the two people who took off the objects were shaking. It was Jasmine's bracelet, and a letter. Go find it. Look who it is. The two yelled and climbed onto the roof of the car with their front and rear feet. But looking at the past, there was not a single outsider in sight. A voice came from the intercom, saying that this car suddenly came from the intersection ahead. At that time, a black figure flashed and disappeared before being seen clearly. Then the car hit. Bai Ying yelled and asked others to chase her while he jumped out of the car. Bai Xiong, the second eldest son of the Bai family, has the power of speed and immediately rushed in the direction of the car. Bai Ying opened the letter in her hand and shouted for someone to check the car thoroughly. There was no valid information in the car. There's a humming sound in the trunk. Is it Jasmine? Bai Ying hurriedly opened the lid. Then he was startled. There were actually 4 zombies imprisoned inside. Or a gagged zombie. As soon as the trunk was opened, 4 monsters bared their teeth and claws and pounced. The boss of the Bai family was unprepared and was scratched by a zombie on the back of his hand. He was so angry that he punched out with crackling fists. 3 minutes later, their team gathered in the bank lobby. Bai Xiong has come back, so naturally he didn't find anyone. He felt that the person coming should also have speed powers. Bai Ying, with a sullen face, handed the letter to everyone and circulated it one by one. Then, everyone's faces darkened and they looked at Song Tao. There are 2 things in the letter. One is Jasmine's blood book. The other one was a piece of paper. To be precise, it was a threatening letter. Jasmine's blood letter made them heartbroken. Every word was bloody and weeping, and the brother who kept asking for help made their hearts ache. They all watched Jasmine grow up and knew that the little princess had never suffered at all, but now she had shed so much blood. Especially that bloody palm print, that soft and weak little hand. They had held it, but now, it was useless for them as brothers. And this silk shirt, why is this word written on the shirt? With such a big piece of her shirt torn off, I wonder if my good sister suffered a loss. I wonder what kind of situation my good sister is in now? If we don't rescue her quickly, will my good sister, will she be? Everyone couldn't bear to think about it, and everyone had only one thought: Jasmine could not be left behind bars, and Jasmine must be rescued as soon as possible. What do they want? Everyone asked. What do you want? On another sheet of paper. The words on it are arrogant, ugly, wanton, and arrogant, making people sick at first sight. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 763. Everyone in the bank had a ferocious look on their faces after reading the letter. Really abominable. The content of the letter is as follows. Everyone, the clock starts from the time you receive the letter. Now prepare 10 A-type guns and 300 rounds of ammunition, 20 H-type grenades, 5 pieces of body armor, as well as 300 kilograms of fully packaged grain and 100 kilograms of original packaging. The meat will be delivered to the vacant black SUV at the intersection of Pingan Street within half an hour. Leave immediately after delivery, and no one is allowed to be left behind. Warning, you are currently being monitored by us. Don't play tricks. If we inspect the goods and find that there is something wrong with the goods, if you try to set up an ambush, if you have plans to hide them nearby, then our transaction will be cancelled immediately, and your good sister will be reduced to the person behind the trunk of the car just now. Monster. So, be careful. After we confirm that the goods you gave us are okay and we left safely, we will naturally send Miss Molly back safely. In addition, you'd better arrive at the designated location within half an hour. After that, for every minute of delay, we chopped off one of Molly's fingers. After all 10 fingers have been chopped, if you still haven't delivered the items, then I'm sorry, but you will never see Molly again. So, you only have a total of 40 minutes at most, so hurry up and run. Just such a letter. Everyone who watched it inevitably panicked. Are they really being monitored? But why can't they sense it? There is only one possibility, the other party also has special powers. This made them a little nervous. And it takes almost 15 minutes from them to Pingan Street. About 5 minutes have passed now, and they only have 10 minutes in total to prepare. Hateful. Time is so tight that we can't delay it for even a minute. Several men from the Bai family and everyone who loved Molly all surrounded Song Tao. Jasmine, we must be saved, there were many people speaking in unison. We can fully afford the materials requested by the other party. Save Jasmine, our Bai family will remember this love, Bai Ying begged with red eyes. Yes, if the supplies are gone, we can save more, but if the people are gone, we will be heartbroken for the rest of our lives. We don't want to see Jasmine suffer, please save her. Song Tao took a deep breath. He didn't really think much about it. But these brothers in front of me are the backbone of the team. If he doesn't handle it carefully, his team will be dispersed. Song Tao could only nod, and then threw the warehouse key out. Next, everyone was seen jogging and starting to prepare supplies according to the other party's requirements. Song Tao ordered a few people and planned to go to Pingan Street first to set up control. Bai Ying saw this and grabbed Song Tao anxiously. Brother, for the sake of Jasmine's safety, please. Don't. Jasmine is in their hands, and they said they would not release her until they inspect the goods and leave safely. Let's go. If the surveillance is discovered, Jasmine will be in danger. Song Tao, this business is not unequal. It's fine if the person can be exchanged safely, but what if our supplies are given out but they don't let the person go? At this point, neither Jasmine nor our brothers can afford to gamble. Bai Ying knelt down directly. They tied up Jasmine just for supplies. We have provided the supplies in place, and they won't risk offending us. Brother, give it a try. You are so kind, and Lao Er and I will definitely repay you. Supplies, our brothers will definitely get it back for the team. Song Tao gritted his teeth. If they swallow the goods. If they swallow the goods and don't let people go, you don't need to tell me, even if I turn the city upside down, I won't be able to spare them. Song Tao, what I mean is that it's not easy to get my goods, so I can't play bottomless pit tricks for them. Even if it's blackmail, it's only for this time. If they don't let her go, next time they will threaten to cut Bai Moli into pieces. Wanduan, I won't even give them a grain of rice. Do you understand? Yes. Thank you, brother. Bai Ying hurriedly ordered people to load the supplies into the truck. At the 13th minute, they finally had all the goods the other party wanted. They were afraid of being deceived, so they could only arrange for 5 vehicles to go there and bring several superpowers with them. For example, Song Tao, he knows how to read people. If he could see the kidnapper, he would be able to see the other person's purpose at a glance. He might be able to see where the kidnapper is, how many people there are and where they are. For example, there is a brother named Ren Hao who also has the ability to sense. As long as he is not too far away, he can control any disturbance. The 5 cars drove at a fast pace and arrived at Ping'an Road in exactly 27 minutes. They immediately locked onto the black off-road vehicle on the roadside. 5 cars surrounded the car, blocking the car in the middle. As they suspected, no one was in the car. No one was seen nearby. While everyone was watching the area with guns and ammunition, they began to unload and load goods. Song Tao stood on a high place and looked around. It was very desolate nearby. Where to meet people? Song Tao signaled Ren Hao. Ren Hao also shook his head. He maximized his induction. What he could confirm was that there was absolutely no living person in the area with the car as the center and a radius of 100 meters. As for any further distance, he would be beyond his capabilities. A group of people are very depressed. Are they really not sure if someone is monitoring them? If so, it only means that the opponent's strength is at least not weaker than them. After unloading the goods, Bai Ying found another note on the front seat. We know how many of you are here, and we also know what you are thinking. If you don't want to waste all your efforts, you have to leave within 3 minutes. We will not inspect the goods until you all return to the bank. Don't worry, as long as you follow our requirements, Bai Moli will be safe and can go back safely. On the contrary, no one can guarantee the consequences. 180 seconds, starting from the time you read this letter. The tone in the letter was that there were many experts nearby observing them. Song Tao glanced around, feeling anxious. There are several tall buildings 100 meters away. If the other party is hiding on a certain floor, they have no way of knowing. If the opponent has a sniper. If they are here again, not only will it not help the situation, but they may become the opponent's target. Let's go, Song Tao gritted his teeth and waved his hand, giving the order. Bai Ying stuffed a letter he had just written on the road to warn the other party on the steering wheel. 5 cars left quickly. 15 minutes later, a jeep came on the east road. As soon as the car reached the intersection, it made a sharp U-turn. At the moment of the sudden stop, a black shadow flashed, and Tao ran, wearing a black hat, sunglasses, black mask, and black clothes, jumped out of the jeep and got into the off-road vehicle. The entire movement was completed in one go, taking only half a second at most. With a blast of the accelerator, the 2 cars left. They rushed directly into the underground parking lot of the tall building ahead. After turning inside a few times, they came out from another exit. By this time, the license plate of Tao Ran's car had been changed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 764. Tao Ran almost laughed out loud. All the hard work paid off, and all her planning was finally in vain. This trip has yielded a lot. Tao Ran deliberately waited for 3 days before coming to Song Tao and the others to make a deal. In the past 3 days, she mainly practiced Qigong and trained the superpowers at home. Of course, the most important thing is that she needs to recover from her injuries. Her injuries have basically healed, so it's time for her to show off her talents. With the eldest lady in hand, we cannot waste this resource. It's easy to get some food and drink first, and it's even easier to get some weapons. She has to make full use of Baimoli's value. The ransom Taoran asked for was not something he just asked for, but after careful consideration. She learned from Baimoli about the material reserves of the group in the bank, so she asked for nothing more than nothing, about a quarter of the group's weapons and 1/6 of the supplies. In terms of number, it has to be so embarrassing that it won't break your muscles and bones, but it's not a small amount. Brothers are definitely willing to pay, but others may not be. If you give it, they will feel uncomfortable. If you don't give it, they will suffer even more. Regardless of whether they give it or not, there must be someone among them who feels uncomfortable. Taoran caught them off guard and only gave them half an hour. Time is too urgent and too tight. Then they have no time to think deeply, no time to think of ways to turn things around, no time to take action, and no time to plan. It was too late for them to decide whether to redeem people or not, so how could they have the chance to do something small? This ensures the safety of Taoran and the materials to the greatest extent. In addition, the place was also chosen by Taoran. It was not the territory of that group of people, which meant that the group of people would not dare to act rashly. Coupled with the fact that Taoran was bluffing throughout the whole process, as if they were showing her off, she was able to get this batch of weapons and supplies easily. He. Taoran lied when he said he was watching them. She had already learned about their superpowers from Baimoli and knew that they had sensors, so she had to avoid them. So she just went to the safe road to trade. In order to ensure safety, she did not arrange any people for her near Pingan Road. She expected that the more people there were, the more uneasy the other party would be and the more they would speculate on their own strength. Sure enough, this psychological warfare has become a reality. Everyone arranged by Taoran secretly observed the other party on his way back to the bank. After confirming that the other party went back to the bank, Taoran took action. After getting Bai Ying's letter, Taoran couldn't help but laugh. Bai Ying warned and asked Baimoli to be sent back quickly. This will be the only time they trade supplies for people. If they dare not let him go, not only will they not be able to continue the transaction, but they will also dig deep into the ground to take revenge. Fierce words and various warnings. But to Taoran, it was all nonsense. Why should she listen to those people? Now that the person is in her hands, whether or not she lets him go depends entirely on her mood. Moreover, Taoran had already guessed what Bai Ying said. Taoran had never thought of cheating twice on supplies related to survival. She chuckled. What she will do next time will definitely open the eyes of Song Tao and the others. Taoran tore the paper into pieces and threw it out of the window. On the other side of Fuel Bank, everyone is still waiting. Half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, until the afternoon, then evening. It was already dark, and no one sent White Jasmine back. Their people have been wandering around, and they have secretly placed people at nearby intersections. They originally wanted to follow the car when they saw it to see who was behind it. But they were busy in vain. There were no people or cars at all. I was cheated. Song Tao smashed the red wine glass in his hand against the wall, leaving a pool of red. The team atmosphere became increasingly dull. They shouldn't be given supplies, someone said. Just because they didn't speak before doesn't mean they agree. Now that the bamboo basket is used to fetch water, they are naturally even more unhappy. Why? For the sake of a woman, do you ignore the team like this? Are these men crazy? Several people have complained about the Bai family and those licking dogs. I will give everyone an explanation. Song Tao got up, led his people and rushed to Pingan Road. The black off-road is no more. When Song Tao and the others were loading supplies, they deliberately spread ashes on the ground next to the off-road vehicle. So now there is a shoe print left on the ground. Men's shoes, size 42. Probably boots. Change cars in one step. This man really has supernatural powers. Judging from the imprints of the wheels, they were heading east. This is already in the city. 2 kilometers further east is the sphere of influence of the hospital gang. Is it really them? Who could it be if they weren't them? Now that the city has the guts to play tricks on us, target weapons, and target us, can it be ordinary people? That's right. They obviously have a lot of superpowers. Based on their ability to deliver the car without anyone noticing before, I'm afraid they are the only ones from Dongcheng. Song Tao walked around in place twice like a hot pot ant. No matter what, the priority is the team. We have obviously been targeted, so first of all, we have to give up here at the bank. There is no time to look around for a place. Let's just look at the villa area in the south of the city. We will start going there tomorrow. Clean up the zombies there. Take the time to prepare and we will try to leave within 3 days. Song Tao didn't show any emotion on his face, but he was anxious in his heart. If he doesn't get back this debt today, he will never be a human being. Compared to the depression of the group of people in the bank, everyone in the community was enjoying their meal at this moment. Eat meat. I haven't had such a good meal in a long time. Tao Ran also gave Bai Moli 2 pieces of meat. Well, she is a person who always repays kindness. How much is it thanks to Miss Bai? She felt really bad about not giving him a bite to eat. Bai Moli weakly grabbed the meat, and then her eyes straightened. What's this? Iberian ham. As expected, it's Miss Kinjin. You don't even need to taste it, you can tell it at a glance. Bai Moli's face turned dark. You have met my brother, right? Otherwise. Iberian ham, the best ham in the world, costs 30,000 yuan apiece. Not only can these bumpkins not afford it, they can't even buy it. This can only be purchased by booking in advance and shipping it by air. The 5 alliances of them have stationed several lines, all in the bank warehouse. Bai Moli was extremely anxious. Answer me. Where did this ham come from? She wished Tao Ran could deny it. But Tao Ran looked at her and slowly smiled. Yes, your brothers gave it to them. This meat was sold to you in exchange for it. Thanks to you, everyone ate it happily. After knowing that the people at the bank were stocking up on good goods, Tao Ran, who originally had no intention of asking for food, added food and meat to the list. It's also good to give everyone a taste. Sure enough, rich people are different. 300 kilograms of grain, 3 types of rice and 5 types of noodles, all of the highest quality, from all over the world. Among the 100 pounds of meat, in addition to 2 pieces of ham, there are also various kinds of dried meat and seafood, including 3 packages of 3-headed abalone and lobster jerky, which can be said to have greatly enriched the dining tables of everyone in the community. You lied to my brothers. Didn't you say that as long as they gave me supplies, you would let me go? You broke your promise. You let me go. Bai Moli went crazy and roared to catch Tao Ran, but it was all in vain. Compared to you who can kill people in the blink of an eye, I just lied to others. How is this a big sin? You won't eat. Tao Ran took the plate. That's best. You save hundreds. Then, just go hungry today. Tao Ran took 2 steps and then looked back. It's also a sin to waste food. Don't eat it for the next 2 days. I'll wait for you to be hungry for 2 days. Then it will taste delicious. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 765. Tao Ran went to check the weapons he got. She was quite satisfied. There is nothing wrong with the gun, there are enough bullets, and the body armor is of good quality. As for the grenades, haha, I believe she will be able to use them soon. At this point, plus the box of things seized from Shwefei last time, we now have a batch of decent weapons. At present, they have a total of more than 20 guns, 500 rounds of bullets, 10 bulletproof vests, and other gunpowder weapons. Even if they are attacked, they are by no means the kind of party that will be easily captured. Haha, actually, her deception this time was just a matter of convenience, and getting supplies was only secondary. What she wants to do next is the main purpose. Another day passed and it was dark. The atmosphere in the bank was still dull. During the day today, they were all busy cleaning the villa area. In order to move there as soon as possible, most of the people in their team went to participate in the killing. They were all exhausted, but the zombies there were only half cleared. At this moment, each of them grabbed a bottle of wine and discussed plans for tomorrow while eating. Everyone drank a lot, but they were still in a bad mood. Several people stared at the Bai family and the few nymphos in the team from time to time. What kind of thing is white jasmine? It's all these people's fault. They were left with so little supplies, and they were so anxious to move out that they were so tired. The Bai family was also in a bad mood. In addition to worrying about Bai Moli, Bai Ying's hand that was caught by a zombie the day before yesterday was also infected. In order to prevent the disease, he could only reluctantly chop off one of his fingers. His eldest son, Mr. Bai, turned out to be disabled. Hey, my sister doesn't know what to do either? Maybe not as good as him. How is it possible for him to give up his sister? Song Tao sensed everyone's thoughts, and naturally he couldn't be happy either. There are too many complaints in the team. It seems that something must be done to get everyone to work together again. The hour hand just reached 11 o'clock. Song Tao was just about to let everyone disperse and have a rest early, but Ren Hao, who was confused, suddenly opened his eyes and looked at him, and then stood up quickly. Song Tao subconsciously knew that something was wrong. And a voice came from the communicator on his waist, "Boss." "No, there is." Before he finished speaking, there was a noise outside. The loud sound startled everyone. Then they realized it was a firecracker. Sounds nearby. What's the situation? I rushed out and took a look. At the intersection, there was an arrow stuck in the tree that was hit by a car the day before yesterday. The arrow was shot into the tree, and there was a letter strung on the arrow. Song Tao and others had already drawn their guns and looked around. Ren Hao sensed it for a while, and finally shook his head. Can't sense it? Song Tao's face darkened again. If they can't sense it, then either the person who came has left, or the other person is stronger than them. They can come when they want, leave when they want, and play when they want. What do you think they are? Song Tao was so furious that he rushed to the top of the building and cursed, "What are you doing for food? If your eyes are not good, you can blind them. People are already at the door. Didn't you notice at all?" A crying voice came from the communicator, indicating that they were really not slacking off on duty. They had been patrolling and observing with binoculars. They really didn't find anything wrong. Moreover, the night is not good tonight, the lights are dark, and the vision is even worse. They tried their best. But except for zombies, they didn't notice anyone walking around for a kilometer. They didn't know why someone suddenly appeared in front of their eyes and fired an arrow. After opening the letter, do you still need to say it? Naturally, it was still the same group as the day before yesterday. Just like the day before yesterday, there was another blood letter from Bai Moli. "Brother, I'm starving to death. They don't even give me food. I've been hungry for 2 days. In these 2 days, I only drank half a bottle of water. It's not pure water. They said they would starve me to death unless you redeemed me. Brother, I don't want to die. Please rescue me. Brother Song Tao, I have awakened my superpower. This is a skill that our team needs very much. You must rescue me, I will not let you down. The letter was indeed written by Bimoli. She was afraid that Song Tao would give up on her, so she didn't need Tao Ran to teach her. She just exaggerated and begged, blah blah blah. She also made up a lot of torture processes, which made the Bai brothers blush. Blinded. Jasmine, we. As soon as Bai Ying opened her mouth, Song Tao glared at her. Song Tao opened another letter. To him, what Bimoli said made no sense at all. Tao Ran. I'm sorry, everyone, there was something going on here the day before yesterday and we were unable to send Miss Bai back. People in our team felt that I was too honest when I wrote the letter, and the materials I requested did not fully reflect Miss Bai's value. After all, Miss Bai has a noble status and has awakened her powers. She also has a sincere heart that loves all her brothers deeply. How could such a wonderful person be worth so much material? Seeing this, everyone was grinding their teeth together. How hateful! Who do you want to piss off? For this reason, our team had disagreements. In the end, we were unable to send the person back. But please don't misunderstand us. Miss Bai means nothing to us. We will never hold her captive. So we decided to make another transaction. In this way, in order to dispel your doubts and express our sincerity and apology, this time we will send someone to personally take Miss Bai to face the transaction with you. We reiterate that we are a team that keeps its word. This time I won't ask for much. All I need is for you to come up with another 100 kilograms of meat, 300 rounds of ammunition and 10 guns. We will receive the goods with one hand and release the people with the other without saying a word. If you agree, please rush to the primary school in the city within an hour to trade with us. Don't wait until the expiration date. Hope our transaction is successful. Waiting for good news. Boss, several people shouted in unison. Shut up. Song Tao has heard the voices in everyone's hearts. Some people say that you must not be fooled this time. Some people say that the other party doesn't want much this time and they can try to trade. Others said that it takes about 15 minutes to get to the primary and middle schools in the city, and there are still more than 40 minutes. There is enough time to make arrangements, so why not do something ruthless? Prepare supplies. Song Tao naturally preferred the last option. You can go this time. He glanced at Bai Ying. People will naturally try their best to get it back, but the supplies will definitely not be given. He must avenge this tone, this debt, this revenge tonight. The blame is on them for delivering it themselves. Letting out this bad breath and using this action can reunite everyone's scattered hearts. Song Tao immediately assigned Bai Xiong and 2 other brothers with speed powers to take Ren Hao to the vicinity of the elementary school to investigate and sense how many people were coming. An ambush had been set up in advance. Song Tao started to order people. He was afraid that Bai Ying would take care of Bimoli and do bad things, so he insisted on letting Bai Ying stay and be responsible for the safety of their home. And his special ability is very suitable for real and fake negotiations, so of course he has to go. Thank you all for your monthly votes. Thank you Brother Long for resetting Lai Huo View and waiting for the reward from the baby Bai Xingxin.